Have you ever felt that gnawing doubt, the unsettling question in your mind? Was it me? Did I misunderstand? Or did they truly intend to cause that pain? It's a crossroads many of us reach, especially as we navigate the complexities of life. In our 30s and 40s, we've learned a lot, grown immensely, yet some wounds cut deeper because they feel unmistakably deliberate. We've all been there, standing on the precipice of a decision, wondering if extending another chance is an act of grace or a recipe for renewed heartache. Society whispers tales of universal forgiveness, of redemption for all. But what happens when the damage wasn't a stumble, but a calculated strike? What then? Imagine finally reaching a place of peace, a hard-won serenity, only to have someone from your past, someone who knowingly hurt you, try to re-enter your life. The question isn't just, should I let them back in? But what does letting them back in truly say about my own self-worth and the boundaries I've fought so hard to establish? Welcome to StoicCraft, where we explore timeless wisdom for modern challenges. Today, we're diving deep into a topic that resonates with so many of us: understanding intentional harm, setting unwavering boundaries, and reclaiming your peace without guilt or apology. The unmistakable mark of intentional harm. It's crucial to recognize that not all hurts are accidental. There's a profound difference between a slip of the tongue and a calculated betrayal. They didn't merely stumble, they aimed. They weren't carelessly indifferent. They deliberately caused destruction. And now you find yourself at a pivotal crossroads, not torn between forgiveness and vengeance, but rather between honoring your inherent self-worth and abandoning yourself entirely. This isn't about clinging to a grudge. It's about firmly establishing and upholding a boundary. Because what they inflicted upon you wasn't a simple mistake. It wasn't an unforeseen emotional mishap or a fleeting moment of weakness. No, it was a conscious decision, a premeditated betrayal, executed with full awareness of the profound cost it would exact on you. Yet, here you are, contemplating whether to offer them another chance, wrestling with the uncomfortable thought that perhaps cutting them out Messiah the unkind one. Let's be unequivocally clear. Allowing them back into your life doesn't signify kindness on your part. It merely leaves you vulnerable to the same pain once more. They have already demonstrated precisely what they do with access to your life and your emotions. True emotional intelligence, as you will discover, isn't about indiscriminately tolerating everyone. Instead, it's about acutely recognizing malicious intent, diligently enforcing psychological boundaries, and never, ever feeling the need to apologize for safeguarding your own peace of mind. Because if the damage they inflicted was intentional, then extending a second chance isn't an act of compassion. It is, in fact, a profound act of self-betrayal. There's a pervasive and dangerous myth that society often subtly instills in you, the idea that everyone inherently deserves a second chance. But let's be honest with ourselves. Not all wounds are accidental occurrences. Not all damage stems from genuine ignorance or emotional immaturity. Some individuals knew precisely the harm they were causing when they hurt you, and they proceeded to do it anyway. They meticulously observed your inherent softness, your unwavering loyalty, your boundless patience, and then cunningly leveraged these very qualities against you. That, my friends, is not a mistake. That is a calculated strategy, the psychology of intentional harm. Unmasking the patterns, consider the undeniable psychology behind intentional harm. People do not accidentally fabricate multiple lies. They do not accidentally manipulate you into questioning your own memories through gaslighting. They do not accidentally betray your trust with precise timing and sophisticated emotional manipulation. This insidious behavior is, by definition, premeditated emotional abuse. And here's the crucial caveat. Often, once they are exposed, they attempt to frame their actions as nothing more than a misunderstanding. Their true aim is a reset, a renewed opportunity to regain access to you. But emotional intelligence empowers you to discern that regret is fundamentally different from genuine remorse. Regret whispers, "I'm sorry I got caught." Remorse, however, authentically states, "I am truly sorry I hurt you." One merely leads to a repetition of the cycle. The other paves the way for genuine, lasting change. Emotional intelligence demands discernment. Far too many individuals mistakenly conflate kindness with gullibility, or compassion with unquestioning compliance. But when you permit someone who has already revealed their true, destructive character to re-enter your life without stringent vetting, you are not exercising mercy. You are in essence betraying your own innate inner wisdom. The Stoics, with their profound insights, taught us that we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. However, there are times when it's not your imagination playing tricks on you. Sometimes the adversary wears a familiar face and speaks in soothing, deceptive tones. You don't need to overanalyze whether their actions were deliberate. You felt the insidious intent. You observed the recurring, painful patterns. Do not allow misplaced guilt to overshadow the undeniable truth. It's imperative to learn the critical difference between a single mistake and an entrenched pattern. Anyone can falter once, a sharp word uttered in the heat of anger, a forgotten promise, a temporary lapse in judgment. But when that detrimental behavior becomes entirely predictable, when every cycle culminates in your pain and their worn-out excuses, that, unmistakably, is no longer a mistake, but is a deeply ingrained pattern. And patterns fundamentally reveal priorities. If someone consistently prioritizes their own benefit at your explicit expense, they are not confused or lost. They are unequivocally committed to themselves, above all else. And in response, you must become just as resolutely committed to protecting your own peace. Your pain, a signal, not a curse. Your emotional pain is not a curse. It is a vital signal. Most people fail to grasp this fundamental truth about pain. It's not merely something to be endured or survived. It is crucial information. It communicates to you that something is fundamentally amiss, that a situation is unsafe, that what you are experiencing is not true love. And yet, so many of us choose to disregard this crucial signal, clinging desperately to hope. We desperately hope they will change. We hope it was just a fleeting phase. We hope that love alone can mend what a fractured character has broken. But hope, untethered by healthy boundaries, inevitably transforms into self-harm. You were not put on this earth to serve as someone's emotional punching bag, especially not in the misguided name of forgiveness. True self-worth does not beg for re-entry into a destructive dynamic. Authentic self-worth quietly but firmly declares, "I do not hate you. I simply love myself more." This doesn't necessitate anger, a desire for revenge, or dramatic exits. It demands clarity, because once you have unequivocally witnessed someone's true harmful nature, consciously choosing them again is in essence choosing your own deliberate destruction. Emotional maturity is not measured by how much pain you can stoically endure. It is measured by how much you will definitively no longer tolerate. And when someone intentionally damages you, you bear a profound responsibility, not to them, but to yourself, to sever that access. Detachment in this context is not cruelty. It is an act of survival. Cutting someone off after experiencing intentional harm is not a cold or unfeeling act. It is an act of profound self-control. It is the quiet, resolute refusal to continue, playing a part in your own ongoing suffering. It is the precise moment you cease attempting to resuscitate relationships that are, in reality, already long dead. You are not abandoning them. You are, with immense courage, choosing yourself, and that, unequivocally, represents the highest form of emotional intelligence. Therefore, do not mistake their superficial charm for genuine change. Do not confuse their tears for authentic transformation. And critically, do not mistake their desperate need for your energy as irrefutable proof of their love. They were granted access to your very soul, and yet they consciously chose to inflict harm. They were given an opportunity to safeguard your trust, and yet they chose betrayal instead. Now the choice rests with you, and this time choose with profound wisdom. Choose peace. Choose clarity. Choose self-respect above all possibilities of a second chance. Forgiveness, liberation, not reconnection. You absolutely can forgive someone and simultaneously choose to never allow them back into your life. This isn't bitterness. It's a crystal clear understanding of what you deserve. Forgiveness is a deeply personal act, a sacred release that spiritually cleanses you from the emotional burden of their actions. But forgiveness is not, and never should be, a doorway for them to re-enter. It is not a signal to resume a relationship that fundamentally broke you. It does not equate to reconciliation. It means liberation, your liberation. Some people fundamentally misunderstand forgiveness. They believe it signifies that you've forgotten the pain, or that you've healed sufficiently to tolerate their presence once more. They might even interpret your newfound peace as evidence that they somehow deserve another opportunity. But here's the undeniable truth. Forgiveness is for your peace, not for their return. Emotional intelligence dictates that you forgive without repeating the painful cycle. Let's be entirely clear. Clinging to resentment is toxic. It corrodes your soul and clouds your clarity. However, equally toxic is inviting back the very energy that shattered you in the first place. Emotional intelligence isn't merely about letting go. It's also about profoundly learning the critical lesson embedded within the experience. If you forgive without establishing firm boundaries, you inadvertently become an open playground for manipulation. If you heal, but then fail to diligently protect what has been healed, you actively invite further harm. So by all means forgive, but do so with profound discernment. Allow the wound to close completely, but never ever reopen the battlefield. Forgiveness is a spiritual discipline, not a sign of emotional weakness. Forgiveness isn't soft or passive. It's not about letting someone off the hook. It's about liberating yourself from the hook of revenge, obsessive thoughts, and endless what-ifs. When you forgive, you are not validating their actions. You are instead declaring, "I refuse to let your actions dictate my state of mind any longer." You are severing spiritual ties, cleansing the poison from your soul, and reclaiming your inner peace without seeking futile repayment from someone who is spiritually bankrupt. That, my friends, is not weakness. That is immense power. True power manifests when your peace no longer depends on their apology. Just because you have embarked on a healing journey doesn't automatically mean they have changed. One of the greatest traps of healing is the erroneous assumption that because you have evolved, so too have they. You might begin to romanticize their potential, telling yourself, maybe this time it will truly be different. But has their behavior genuinely shifted? Have they taken full responsibility, not just offered empty apologies, but demonstrated profound transformation through consistent, difficult self-work? If the answer remains no, then your hard-won healing should absolutely not become their convenient shortcut back into your life. You do not owe anyone access to your peace simply because you have found it yourself. Boundaries, even after forgiveness, are a profound form of self-respect. The Stoics passionately advocated for emotional mastery, and nothing exemplifies emotional mastery more clearly than setting boundaries without a trace of guilt. Seneca wisely stated, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." Wasting your precious time and energy on individuals who have already unequivocally demonstrated their disregard for your value is not noble. It is an act of profound self-neglect. You are absolutely capable of blessing someone from a distance, of genuinely wishing them healing, without ever reopening the door. You can sincerely say, "I forgive you," without ever uttering, "Come back." This truly is what high self-worth looks like in practice. A soft heart coupled with a firm boundary. Forgiveness without accompanying discernment is an undeniable setup for more pain. Let's be brutally honest with ourselves. How many times have you extended forgiveness only to witness the identical, damaging pattern repeat itself? How many times have you willingly sacrificed your own peace, genuinely believing that offering one more chance would miraculously make everything right? At a certain juncture, the narrative ceases to be solely about them. It becomes fundamentally about you. Your persistent desire to keep granting chances is often rooted not in pure love, but in a desperate hope that they will finally transform into the person you desperately wish them to be. But hope alone is not a viable relationship. Strategy and love without any boundaries or limits isn't pure. It's recklessly self-destructive. Forgiveness represents the final, liberating chapter of a wound. Reopening that chapter does not magically rewrite the story. It merely reopens the scar. Instead of "let's try again," consider powerful and definitive statements like, "I've made peace with the past, but I am not revisiting it. I wish you well far away from me. You are forgiven, but you are no longer welcome in my life." This kind of boundary isn't an act of revenge. It is an act of profound recovery. You don't need to justify your decision to anyone. Sometimes silence speaks volumes when explanations would only fall on deaf ears. And sometimes the most profoundly spiritual act you can perform is to simply walk away without ever looking back. So forgive with courage and conviction, but never ever forget the immense cost it took for you to evolve into this stronger, wiser version of yourself. You didn't claw your way out of darkness just to hand the flashlight back to the very person who helped bury you there. Your peace is sacred. Guard it like an impenetrable fortress. Let forgiveness be your ultimate freedom, not your eventual downfall. Kindness with boundaries. The ultimate power. There's a dangerous misconception prevalent in the world that being kind inherently means being soft. That demonstrating empathy makes you susceptible to manipulation. That if you don't scream, threaten, or retaliate, you've somehow lost. But here's the profound truth. Kindness is not weakness. It is immense strength under complete and total control. It's not the absence of power. It's the conscious refusal to abuse it. The individual who possesses the capacity to retaliate but chooses discipline instead is not weak. They are, in the most elegant way, truly formidable because they have achieved mastery over themselves. Emotional intelligence at its core resembles calm amidst chaos. People often misinterpret emotional regulation as passivity. They might believe that because you don't yell, cry, or beg, you must be fragile. They might wrongly perceive your silence as submission, but emotional intelligence signifies that you no longer react impulsively to every provocation. You intuitively understand when it's time to simply walk away, not because you lack the ability to fight, but because you recognize it's not worthy of your precious energy. Your calm, measured response doesn't indicate numbness. It signifies that you have rigorously trained yourself not to bleed for people who have deliberately wounded you. You are no longer desperately fighting for external approval. You are fiercely protecting your peace, like a warrior wielding a spiritual sword. The Stoic philosophy champions the power of non-reactivity. The Stoics taught us that authentic strength is rooted in restraint, not suppression, but true sovereignty over oneself. As Marcus Aurelius wisely noted, if someone does wrong, it is their own loss. You lose nothing by choosing not to be dragged into their chaos. Your kindness is not a weakness. It is a profound form of psychological mastery. You do not permit the external storm to dictate the emotional weather within your own being. You have outgrown reactive living. You no longer feel compelled to match energy. Instead, you diligently guard your own, because kindness does not equate to tolerating disrespect. It means you steadfastly refuse to descend to the level of those who thrive on drama and chaos. When coupled with strong boundaries as the ultimate manifestation of power. Let's be unequivocally clear. Kindness without boundaries is not a virtue. It is, in fact, profound vulnerability. It's akin to allowing emotional vampires to drain your soul and then mistakenly labeling it compassion. You are absolutely permitted to be kind and still assertively say no. You are allowed to be compassionate and still choose to walk away. You are allowed to be forgiving and still permanently block individuals from your life. Because if your kindness comes at the cost of your peace, your self-worth, or your mental clarity, it ceases to be kindness. It transforms into self-neglect, the abuser's favorite lie. "But you're too nice." The abuser's favorite manipulation is to say, "But you're too nice." Toxic individuals thrive on your inherent kindness. They weaponize it against you. They will tell you that you're sensitive, too soft, or too good for this world. This is not a genuine compliment. It is a profound warning sign, because what they are truly communicating is, "I know I can inflict pain upon you, and you will still remain. I know I can violate your boundaries, and you will rationalize them away. I know your empathy will protect me more effectively than it protects you, but thankfully that version of you is gone. You have evolved. You now grasp that kindness devoid of self-respect is, in essence, emotional slavery. Quiet confidence is infinitely more powerful than loud rage." People often mistakenly equate power with noise, believing you must prove something, make a scene, retaliate, or destroy. However, the highest echelon of confidence is quiet, self-assured. It doesn't engage in arguments, offer explanations, or beg for anything. It simply walks with undeniable posture, purpose, and presence. And that, precisely, is what utterly terrifies manipulators. You no longer need to win any argument. You have already achieved victory by simply removing them from your sacred space. You have reclaimed your power by no longer needing their validation. Kindness, when it possesses teeth, is still fundamentally kindness. Your kindness can be accompanied by clear standards. It can adhere to specific rules. It can even wear protective armor. You are not here to be anyone's emotional sponge. You are not here to endlessly explain your boundaries until someone finally deigns to respect them. You are kind not because they necessarily deserve it, but because you steadfastly refuse to become like them. However, you are also unequivocally clear, and clarity, fundamentally, is an act of profound kindness to yourself. So you are not weak for choosing grace. You are not naive for choosing empathy. You are not soft for letting go instead of lashing out. You are wise. You are grounded. You are no longer reacting from a place of trauma. You are responding from a position of power. And when your kindness is no longer accessible to those who so brazenly abused it, that isn't revenge, that is pure evolution. Closure. A self-generated revolution. You might think you need closure, but what you truly desire is validation. You crave for them to admit their wrongdoing, to articulate why they hurt you, to acknowledge that their actions shattered something sacred within your being. And while that yearning is undeniably human, it is also a perilous trap, because individuals who intentionally inflict harm rarely provide genuine closure. Instead, they offer confusion. They vanish abruptly. They gaslight relentlessly. They cunningly rewrite the narrative to cast you as the villain. And when you desperately seek clarity amidst the ruins they left behind, you will not discover peace. You will encounter a deeper, more agonizing form of torment. Emotional intelligence involves recognizing precisely when silence is the most potent response. The unvarnished truth is that closure does not emanate from their apology. It originates from your resolute decision to cease waiting for one. People who intentionally cause damage are not seeking to make amends. They are seeking to maintain control, even through your confusion, even through your questions, and especially through your lingering longing. The longer you passively wait for external closure, the longer they retain ownership over a portion of your peace. Emotional intelligence involves recognizing when the conversation has already concluded, even if they never extended you the courtesy of a proper goodbye. Release the fantasy of a perfectly satisfying ending. We have been conditioned by countless stories, movies, and wishful thinking to anticipate a neat conclusion. They return, they apologize, you cry, they change, and everything miraculously makes sense. But real life is far messier than fiction. True closure isn't a shared, dramatic moment. It's a private, internal revolution within your own soul. It's the profound realization one day that I no longer need answers. I just need peace. And here lies the beautiful paradox. The very moment you cease chasing closure is precisely when genuine healing finally begins. Their silence in itself is an answer. Sometimes the sheer lack of a response is the most definitive response you will receive. Sometimes their disappearing act constitutes the only closure you need. You do not require them to confess their wrongdoing. Their actions have already revealed everything you needed to know. They didn't forget you. They chose not to confront you. They weren't confused. They meticulously calculated their actions and then moved on. And the more you relentlessly chase why, the deeper you will spiral into their emotional games. Because closure, when weaponized, can become a subtle form of manipulation. When the pursuit of closure becomes a prolonged form of self-betrayal, we must be brutally honest. Sometimes seeking closure is merely code for I still desperately want them to care. I still crave a reason to hold on. I still haven't fully accepted that they deliberately chose to hurt me. But here's the stark truth, one that no one truly wants to hear. If they were genuinely capable of providing closure, they would never have inflicted the kind of damage that necessitates it in the first place. So every time you send a text, every time you compulsively check their social media, every time you secretly hope they will reach out, you are not seeking closure. You are actively reopening the wound. That is not healing. That is self-betrayal skillfully disguised. True closure is entirely self-generated. You create closure the moment you stop passively waiting for it. You create peace the moment you stop depending on their presence for it. You acknowledge what transpired. You accept the cost it exacted. You grieve the version of yourself that tolerated such behavior, and then you courageously elevate yourself beyond it. You write your own ending. You consciously choose your own peace. You assert to yourself, they do not possess the right to define my worth. Their silence will not be louder than my healing. Their absence is no longer a perplexing mystery. It is a clear message. Spiritual discipline means you navigate life without needing external closure. Stoicism teaches us this profound lesson. You are not owed anything, not even an apology. The universe does not guarantee resolution. What it offers instead is a shift in perspective. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. As Epictetus wisely stated, so walk with dignity, with undeniable clarity, and with profound self-respect, not because everything suddenly makes perfect sense, but because you no longer need it to. Your peace is not a collective project. Closure is not something you negotiate. It is not a group effort. It is a singular, powerful decision that declares I refuse to remain trapped in a chapter someone else closed without my permission. You reclaim your power not by attempting to finish a conversation, but by decisively ending the attachment itself. You do not require closure to heal. You require truth. And the truth is, they were never truly who you believed them to be. So cease waiting for them to return and rectify things, because if they possessed that capacity, they would have already done so. The true closure is this: you are still standing, you are still healing, and you are no longer handing your precious peace over to individuals who casually incinerated it the first time around. That is genuine closure. Second chances. A privilege, not a right. Forgiveness is undeniably noble, but renewed access to your life is a sacred privilege, and not everyone deserves it. Some individuals didn't merely make a mistake. They made a calculated decision. They looked directly into your eyes, recognized your inherent worth, and yet chose to betray it anyway. And now they seek a second chance. They desire another opening, another seat at the very table they previously overturned. But here is the critical question that emotional intelligence demands you ask yourself. Are they truly sorry for the harm they caused, or are they simply sorry they lost access to you? Not everyone merits a return to your life. We exist in a culture that often romanticizes second chances. We are told that extending people the benefit of the doubt makes us inherently good, moral, and evolved. But what if, in certain cases, it doesn't? What if, for some individuals, a second chance is merely a second opportunity to be utterly destroyed? Let's be crystal clear. Forgiveness is primarily about you. Access, however, is unequivocally about them. You possess the profound ability to forgive someone deeply within your heart, and yet never allow them near your peace again. Psychological boundaries serve as a crucial form of protection. When someone violates your trust once, it acts as a stark warning. When they do it a second time, it reveals an undeniable pattern. And when you permit them to do it yet again, it transforms into a painful lesson you are steadfastly refusing to learn. And therein lies the profound danger of second chances. Not in the act of offering it itself, but in the silent, insidious message it communicates to your subconscious, that your self-worth is negotiable, that betrayal is somehow acceptable. As long as they offer a superficial apology afterward, that your boundaries are merely optional, and they retain the power to decide when they truly matter. That, my friends, is not grace. That is self-abandonment, cunningly disguised as compassion. Apologies are remarkably easy to articulate. Genuine change, however, is exceedingly rare. Anyone can utter the words, "I'm sorry," especially when they realize they have lost their source of supply, or when they finally experience the uncomfortable sting of their own consequences. But words are cheap, particularly when the damage inflicted was intentional. So ask yourself honestly, have they genuinely acknowledged their actions without offering a litany of excuses? Have they taken authentic accountability, not just for the actions themselves, but for the profound impact they had? Have they demonstrated concrete change through consistent, often uncomfortable self-work? If the answer to these questions remains no, then extending a second chance becomes, in essence, a vote against yourself. Spiritual discipline manifests in knowing precisely when to let go. There is a quiet, formidable strength in walking away, not with burning rage, not with bitter resentment, but with absolute clarity. Clarity that unequivocally states, you revealed who you truly are the first time. I would be a fool to pretend otherwise a second time. Spiritual discipline involves refusing to invest your precious energy in individuals who failed to protect it in the first place. It is the conscious decision to prioritize your own peace over their manipulative guilt trips. It is the profound understanding that closure, redemption, and reconciliation are not always intertwined. Sometimes the path to healing demands separation, even from individuals you once deeply loved. The cost of second chances. Granting second chances can exact a profound cost on your future. The most perilous aspect of offering someone another opportunity isn't merely the risk of enduring pain again. It's the invaluable cost in terms of your time, your energy, and the opportunities you forfeit. Every single minute spent attempting to rehabilitate a dead connection is a minute stolen directly from your own personal evolution. Every ounce of effort poured into desperately trying to prove your worth is a harmful distraction from the undeniable truth you never had to prove it in the first place. And every time you prioritize their comfort over your own growth, you fall one step further away from the person you are truly meant to become. This is your high-performance mindset moment, to fully grasp that your life is far too valuable to be paused indefinitely for someone else's protracted growth curve. Let the first time be the absolute last time. You are not cruel for decisively closing the door. You are not heartless for enforcing necessary distance. You are not unkind for protecting yourself from repeated intentional damage. You are simply applying the profound lessons you have learned. And that unequivocally is maturity in action. So, let the first time be the final time. Let their memory serve as your unwavering teacher. Let your decision stand as your clear declaration. I am no longer available for individuals who consciously chose to break me. Second chances are not inherently redemptive. Sometimes they are merely replays of the same nightmare, albeit in a different disguise. And you are not here to live in endless loops of pain. You are here to rise, to evolve, and to guard your future as if it truly matters, because it absolutely does. So, when someone intentionally inflicts damage upon you, do not hand them another weapon in the name of a second chance. Close that chapter decisively, lock the door firmly, and build a life so incredibly fulfilling that they wouldn't even recognize the evolved version of you they once attempted to destroy. Recognizing and dismantling manipulation. When someone intentionally damages you, they don't always simply walk away. Sometimes they linger, not out of genuine love, but to maintain control. And when you attempt to pull away, they don't offer sincere apologies. They resort to manipulation. They weaponize your empathy, twisting your compassion into a restrictive leash. Before you even realize it, you find yourself apologizing for the very boundaries you're trying to set. This often manifests as the guilt narrative. You're giving up on me. The moment you begin establishing limits, they expertly shift the blame. Suddenly, you become the problem. You're labeled as cold, overly sensitive, or accused of abandoning everything you've built together. They might say things like, I know I messed up, but can't you see I'm genuinely trying? You're not perfect either. I just wish you'd fight for us the way I'm trying to. But critically, notice the underlying tactic. They are not taking ownership of their damage. They are shaming you for daring to protect yourself. This is not remorse. This is emotional manipulation, cloaked in sentimental language. And if your emotional intelligence isn't finely tuned, you might mistakenly interpret their guilt-tripping as a form of love. Then there's the victim act. You hurt me by leaving. This is where the dynamic takes an even darker turn. They completely flip the script. Suddenly, they are no longer the abuser. They are the wounded victim. They cry, they reminisce about shared memories, and they might utter phrases like, "I truly opened up to you, and now you're abandoning me. I've never felt this way before, and now you're just walking away. You promised you'd always be there for me." But let's be absolutely clear. Their pain does not absolve them of guilt. Their tears do not magically erase the harm they caused. This is not healing. This is a calculated tactic of reverse blame, meticulously designed to keep you trapped. Because if they can successfully convince you that your departure is the true source of damage, you might stay simply to avoid feeling like the bad guy. But enduring pain merely to avoid guilt is not love. It is profound emotional self-sacrifice. Another common manipulation is breadcrumbing. Maybe we can fix this. They sense you beginning to pull away, and just before you fully close the door, they dangle a tantalizing promise. "I'll change. Let's start over. I can't bear to lose you." They say just enough to keep a fragile thread of hope alive, but never enough to actually commit to the difficult work required for change. Is breadcrumbing a manipulative tactic where they offer you meager crumbs of affection, empty words devoid of substance, solely to keep you emotionally tethered? Their true desire isn't to genuinely rebuild. It's to reset the game so they can continue playing it indefinitely. Spiritual discipline, walking away without permission. Herein lies the ultimate test of your self-worth. Spiritual discipline means walking away without needing their permission. They will not willingly release you because individuals who intentionally cause harm rarely take genuine accountability. They prefer to keep you perpetually emotionally obligated. Therefore, you must cease waiting for their blessing. Stop waiting for closure, for understanding, for mutual release. Your freedom does not depend on their validation. It hinges entirely on your own resolute decision. Spiritual discipline means you walk away without seeking applause. You let go without needing to be publicly seen doing so. You close the door without feeling the need for them to comprehend your reasons why. Because true peace does not originate from their clarity. It stems from your own unwavering courage. They will often weaponize shared history against you. They'll remind you of how long you've known each other, the hardships you've endured together, the laughter, the intimacy, the very trauma bonding that often keeps people stuck. They will say things like, "So you're just going to throw all of this away after everything we've been through?" But let's be honest, if shared history alone were enough to justify their continued presence in your life, they would have actively protected the relationship. Do not confuse shared time with genuinely shared values. Do not confuse cherished memories with fundamental respect. The past does not grant a free pass to violate the present. Emotional intelligence demands that you name the manipulation for what it truly is. Guilt-tripping is not love. Breadcrumbing is not genuine progress. Crying after causing destruction is not accountability. A long history does not excuse repeated harm. The very moment you name it, you reclaim your clarity. You see through the manipulative fog. You stand firmly in your power. This is the psychological boundary that will safeguard your sanity. You do not need to prove your kindness by tolerating ongoing manipulation. You are absolutely not obligated to remain in perpetual emotional debt. Just because they haven't finished using you doesn't mean you owe them more of your precious time. You are allowed to walk away, even if they remain confused, even if they label you as cruel, even if they fervently swear they are changing, because genuine growth doesn't beg for access. It respects boundaries. It understands no. It doesn't twist your silence into a punishment or your peace into a betrayal. You do not owe anyone your continued suffering merely because they now regret causing it. And you do not have to prove anything to someone who recognized your inherent worth and still chose to shatter it. The manipulation decisively ends when you declare, "This isn't about being nice. This is about being free." The power of silence. They expect noise. They anticipate a reaction. They expect you to scream, to beg, to justify your pain just to be heard. But when you offer them nothing, no anger, no answers, no access, you activate the one thing they cannot tolerate: silence. Because silence isn't empty. Silence is profound power. And in the presence of your unwavering silence, their meticulously constructed mask begins to crack. Silence denies them control. For toxic individuals, conflict is their very currency. They thrive on drama. They live for emotional chaos. They provoke and push relentlessly, solely to elicit a reaction from you. Because the moment you react, they win. If you scream, they'll label you unstable. If you explain, they'll cunningly twist your words. If you defend yourself, they'll accuse you of guilt. But when you choose silence, when you say nothing, when your face remains composed and your voice is absent, you effectively starve the monstrous identity they built their entire existence upon. You are no longer their fuel. You are no longer their supply. You have become a mirror too clear for them to confront. Emotional intelligence is knowing when to say absolutely nothing. There's a critical distinction between being passive and being strategic. Your silence is not a weakness. It is a deliberate act of restraint. It asserts, "I don't owe you my energy. I don't need to prove myself anymore." That is emotional intelligence in its purest form, choosing to rise above chaos instead of drowning in it. You don't need the last word. You don't need to win the argument, because your silence has already articulated everything they steadfastly refused to hear. Your silence strips away their carefully constructed delusions. Toxic individuals subsist on projection. They desperately need you to fulfill a specific role: the villain, the weak one, the overreactor. They need your words to seamlessly fit their warped narrative. But silence offers them absolutely nothing to manipulate. It leaves them isolated with their own thoughts and their own gnawing guilt. They cannot twist your silence into a lie. They cannot contort your stillness into blame. And without you to deflect onto, they are forced to confront themselves, and that truly terrifies them. Spiritual discipline is achieving peace without needing to perform for others. In a world utterly addicted to reaction, choosing peace is an act of rebellion. When you consciously choose calm over chaos, detachment over drama, you are not merely walking away. You are ascending. That is spiritual discipline, the kind that doesn't require an audience, the kind that quietly declares, I don't chase closure. I've come closure. You don't need to dramatically slam doors or stage grand exits. Your silence is the final, definitive word, and they will hear it echoing profoundly in your absence. Silence is far more devastating than any argument you could ever engage in. Do you wonder why they incessantly reach out? Why they check your social media stories? Why they inquire about you through others? Because your silence is not merely peace. It is a profound punishment they were utterly unprepared for. They anticipated chaos. They expected you to crumble and fall apart. Instead, you vanished, and in that void they experienced the agonizing collapse of everything they once attempted to control. Your silence is irrefutable proof that they have lost access to the version of you that once tolerated their disrespect, and to them that is psychological death. Silence powerfully reinforces your boundaries without requiring a fight. You do not have to explain why you walked away. You don't need to compose lengthy paragraphs or reopen old, festering wounds. Silence unequivocally states, you know precisely what you did, and I know precisely who I am now. No confrontation, no endless debate, no emotional debt left to collect. Just space, distance, and a door that remains firmly shut, not out of hatred, but out of unwavering respect for yourself. That, my friend, is the sound of inner peace. Like nothing at all, yet echoing louder than any scream ever could. Silence possesses the power to transform you and relentlessly haunt them. They mistakenly believed your silence indicated weakness. They thought it meant you were unsure, fearful, or utterly broken. But as time relentlessly passed, you improved. You glowed up, you healed, you thrived, and you remained silent. And that, precisely, is what haunts them. Because your silence didn't merely reject them. It utterly invalidated the entire flawed version of themselves they had projected onto you. Silence is not empty. It is brimming with profound self-worth. When you retreat into quietude, you are not disappearing. You are evolving in profound peace. No grand announcements, no unnecessary drama, just unwavering discipline. That is a high-performance mindset. That is psychological freedom. That is what they utterly failed to anticipate. So the next time someone attempts to bait you, to drag you into an emotional battlefield they meticulously created, remember this. The most impactful move you can make is to make no move at all. Let them talk. Let them spin their narratives. Let them drown in the profound silence you left in your wake. Because when you finally chose silence, you didn't lose control. You unequivocally took it back. Forgiveness and reconnection, different. Paths forgiveness is undeniably powerful. But let's establish one undeniable truth. Forgiveness is not a free pass back into your life. Just because you have forgiven someone does not automatically mean they have earned the right to stand beside you again. That isn't bitterness. That is profound emotional intelligence. Forgiveness is an internal process. Reconnection is always conditional. Forgiveness is an act you undertake for yourself to release the corrosive poison, the lingering pain, and the bitter resentment. It is a deeply personal act of spiritual discipline, a powerful declaration that proclaims, I will not carry your damage in my heart any longer, But reconnection, that is an external act that must be earned, and it demands far more than a mere apology. It requires genuine accountability. It demands demonstrable change. It necessitates consistent actions, not merely occasional expressions of regret. Forgiveness is not emotional amnesia. People often question, but if you truly forgave them, why are you still distant? Why don't you communicate with them anymore? Why can't you just let it go? Let's be clear. Forgiveness is not about forgetting the past. Forgiveness is about remembering without reliving the pain. It's about perceiving the truth with absolute clarity and consciously choosing peace, not denial. You are absolutely allowed to forgive someone and still choose to never trust them again. That is not hatred. That is profound wisdom. Reconnecting with someone who has not genuinely done the difficult inner work is a profound act of self-betrayal. When you do so, you are not practicing kindness. You are actively participating in your own ongoing destruction. It is not noble to offer individuals another opportunity when they are still armed with the very same detrimental behaviors that originally tore you down. You do not prove your personal growth by tolerating the old chaos once more. You prove your growth by fiercely protecting your hard-won inner peace. And sometimes that means loving people from a very safe, necessary distance. Forgiveness is ultimately for your soul, not for their comfort. Some individuals desire your forgiveness, not because they have genuinely changed, but because your silence makes them profoundly uncomfortable. They seek to erase their own guilt. They want to feel better about their actions without actually having to repair the damage they caused. But you are not responsible for alleviating someone else's guilt for damage they have never truly owned. Your forgiveness is not a favor you bestow upon them. It is a sacred gift you bestow upon yourself. It is the release of a heavy burden, not the reopening of a grievous wound. You can release the burden without letting them back in. This exemplifies a high-performance mindset in relationships. You let go not to welcome someone back, but to stop granting them valuable emotional real estate in your mind. You no longer chase closure, you become closure. You no longer feel compelled to explain your silence. You no longer justify your boundaries. You simply move forward because your healing is not open for debate. True forgiveness is disciplined detachment. Real forgiveness signifies that you have made peace with the past, but you are also wise enough to ensure you don't repeat it. You do not harbor grudges, but you undeniably uphold your standards. And that precisely is what they dislike, because they mistakenly expected your forgiveness to automatically grant them access, but you offered them closure instead. You extended grace, not permission. You offered peace, not partnership. You healed, but you firmly kept the door closed. And that is the boundary they utterly failed to anticipate. Your self-worth is not a second chance. Your self-worth is not an invitation for a second chance. They may apologize, they may cry, they may even beg, but if their continued presence necessitates you lowering your standards again, shrinking your authentic self, or walking on eggshells once more, that is not reconciliation. That is profound regression. You did not come this far, tearing down internal barriers, rebuilding your mind and strengthening your soul, only to allow someone to waltz back in with the same old chaos merely disguised by a new mask. You did not heal simply to play pretend. Your peace is sacred. Protect it fiercely. The world will relentlessly pressure you to be soft, to just move on, to keep the peace. But peace is not passive. Peace is inherently protective. Peace is built upon unshakable boundaries. So when you forgive, do so boldly, but always with profound discernment. Let the past go, but do not let it return to haunt your present. Not. Everyone deserves a second chance at the healed, evolved version of you. So if they ever inquire, why can't we go back to how things were? Tell them the undeniable truth, because I am no longer the person I was when I allowed that. Forgiveness sets you free. Boundaries keep you free. And that, precisely, is what they will never truly comprehend. Facing the truth of intentionalities. Shatter the illusion right now. They weren't confused. They weren't lost. They weren't simply going through something. They were calculating. They were deliberate. They knew precisely what they were doing when they inflicted pain upon you. And how do we know this with such certainty? Because they only ever do it to individuals who they believe won't fight back. Emotional intelligence demands facing the unvarnished truth, not attempting to justify the pain. It's often easier to believe they didn't intend to hurt you, because if it wasn't intentional, then perhaps your love wasn't wasted. Maybe they are still redeemable. Maybe the story still holds a glimmer of hope. But that is not healing. That is denial, meticulously wrapped in a guise of empathy. True emotional intelligence means you are no longer protecting other people's reputations at the devastating cost of your own clarity. It means you are definitively done gaslighting yourself with hollow excuses like, maybe they didn't know better, maybe it's just their trauma, or maybe I'm just too sensitive. No, the truth is, maybe they knew exactly what they were doing, and did it anyway. Intentional harm often cunningly hides behind a facade of confusion. Ask yourself, did they treat you with kindness when it served their interests? Did they abruptly turn cold the moment you needed something in return? Did they know how to behave respectfully with others but consistently mistreat you? That is not confusion. That is selective cruelty. People are perfectly capable of being respectful when it benefits them. They know how to present themselves as kind when they are in the spotlight. So when they choose to mistreat you in private, that is not an accident. That is a clear revelation of their true character. They meticulously studied your soft spots and then ruthlessly used them against you. One of the most agonizing realizations on your healing journey is this: they didn't just hurt you by chance. They hurt you strategically. They identified your insecurities. They noticed your silence. They clocked the precise moments you prioritized, their needs above your own, and then they weaponized that knowledge. That is not immaturity. That is not a mere trauma response. That is emotional manipulation, and it needs to be explicitly named for what it is, without any sugar-coating. Spiritual discipline means naming the betrayal for what it is, without attempting to justify it. The more spiritually evolved you become, the more compassionate you inherently become, but concurrently, the more clear-eyed you must be. Compassion is not permission to be harmed. Forgiveness is not blindness to reality. When someone repeatedly violates your boundaries, disregards your fundamental needs, and relentlessly drains your spirit, Your spiritual duty is not to concoct excuses for them. It is to fiercely protect your own soul from further preventable harm. And that critical journey begins with seeing them for who they truly are, not who you desperately hoped they would be. Stop extending the benefit of the doubt to individuals who directly benefit from your doubt. They only question your memory when your accurate memory exposes their deceit. They only label you as dramatic when your emotions threaten their fragile comfort. They only express a desire for peace when silence means they face no consequences for their